Hey guys, I'm finally here. I thought I had a cold, but turned out it was just so cold here today that I'd gotten a jersey out that was probably full of dust from last year. And I realized as soon as I was about to go live that that was what was causing it. So I had to go run and find another jersey. But I'm back. I'm here. With the biggest hair donut I've ever seen. This thing rocks. It's so cool. Lovely to see you all. I cannot see you, but you know what I mean. My sister was visiting for a few days and it was really good. And now she's gone home, which is sad, but sorry about sniffling. The saddest part is that she didn't go and get a really dark fake tan done, because I thought it would be really funny if she came down here to Dunedin and went back up to Wellington with a tan. Like, it's midwinter. I thought it would be funny. She did agree that it would be funny, but didn't actually do it. So, recap. But it's a school for elegant young French ladies in Villette, which is in some region that I always keep forgetting how to pronounce. La Basse-Cour. And she is not admitting it or doesn't realize it, but we know what's possible now in this world. So we all pretty much know that she's in love with this girl, Ginevra Fanshawe. And Ginevra is like, I think Lucy might call her a Stacy. I could see Lucy posting on incel boards if she were a dude. So in the last chapter that we read, which was like ages ago, Ginevra was going out with a guy she calls Isidore. And Lucy was like, don't take presents from him. He's going to expect something back. And Ginevra's like, he's getting something back. He gets to see me wear the jewelry. You vapid idiot. And so was Lucy, much. Just gonna move the mic. Ooh, in the light. That's the light though. Fucking hell. Okay, can you guys see and hear me? Or either, or both? My internet went out for a second there, so I don't actually know if I'm talking to anyone right now. Bit spooky. Okay, I'm going to just assume that you guys can see and hear me. Can check. Kiwi blue, lightly sparkling, berry flavoured water. Tricking myself into feeling more fresh than I think I am. Pretty good. Pretty good. Oh, another thing happened, but I can't show it to you because the box is way over there. But my friends teamed up for my birthday and bought me, among other things, a tin box that has that picture of the lady on it saying, I must have Oreo sandwich for dessert. And it's really funny and I love it. I was sitting down with Charlie watching TV and I'm looking at it and I thought, I should put Oreos in there. And she gave me this look. And she was like, that took you 2 days to think of. And then for the whole rest of her visit, she was just like, oh, I'm going to put Oreos in there. I've been destroyed by her for 30 years. And she still manages to surprise me. I love her so much. Just going to fuck with some settings a little bit. Ah, there we go. Okay, I was not seeing any of your messages in chat. She should have brought me Oreos, yeah. I could not see the chat at all. Let me see if it works if I pop it back down. No. Okay, we'll pop out chat so I can actually see you guys. Right. Villette is not a character, Josh. Villette is a town. Oh, well, it didn't occur to me for at least 2 days, so it's totally fine. Thank you guys so much. I had heart feelings, but whatever. Okay, so basically, Lucy Snow has left England because her life is a series of tragedies, and she doesn't have to describe them to you, so she's not going to. She's a very openly hostile narrator. She met a girl on the boat. Ugh, these are magnetic lashes. And only 2 of the magnets ever stay on at one time. Well, usually just the one. So she met this girl on the boat crossing the fucking channel. I was going to call it the sleeve, like crossing the channel, and which was Ginevra Fanshawe. And she was like, oh, well, I'm going to finishing school, but it sucks, whatever. And Lucy's like, well, when I got off the boat, I didn't really know where to go, so total coincidence, I went to the school and asked to become a teacher. So she did not speak any French to start off with. And now she's a teacher at this school. She teaches English. And I guess she's learning French pretty quickly. Sorry. Top chat. Live chat. Show me. Fucking thing. But yeah. That is pretty much where we got up to, except the last chapter last time was about Ginevra and her various boyfriends and why Lucy thinks she should not accept gifts from them. It's not because she's jealous, because that didn't exist until 1974. When did lesbians start? We don't know. It's a secret of people. So the end of the last chapter, Ginevra is talking about her 2 boyfriends, Mr. Isidore. She just calls him Isidore. I don't know why. And the colonel. So Isidore is just this guy, and the colonel is a dashing army colonel, which we all know is bad news. So at the end of it, she said, I love the colonel. I will never love his rival. I will never be the wife of a bourgeois dude. I now signify that it was imperatively necessary my apartment should be relieved of the honour of her presence. She went away laughing. So there's a very real dynamic between Lucy and Ginevra. I'm not reading it or making it up or anything. Oh, and we're nearly up to 10 minutes in. So oh yeah, this is the first video I've done since my birthday. I'm an adult now. It's pretty cool. Sorry. They just came around to my house and gave me a bunch of Brussels sprouts in a briefcase and a mortgage thing and a checkbook. And they were like, you're an adult now. And I was like, cool. I threw all that shit out though. Villette, Chapter 10. Dr. John. Ooh. All right, Madame Beck is the headmistress of the school. She is a weird character. Yes. Yes, I think it's very irresponsible of me to do whatever dumb shit I've been doing, like wearing magnetic eyelashes. Pretty excited to stop being a teenage dirtbag, honestly. It's been going on for a really long time. Sorry, everybody. Okay. Madame Beck was a most consistent character, forbearing with all the world, and tender to no part of it. Her own children drew her into no deviation from the even tenor of her stoic calm. She was solicitous about her family, vigilant for their interests and physical well-being, but she never seemed to know the wish to take her little children upon her lap, to press their rosy lips with her own, to gather them in a genial embrace, to shower on them softly the benignant caress and the loving word. Madame Beck is pretty weird. I should have gotten a handkerchief. Because I'm an adult now. I have watched her sometimes sitting in the garden, viewing the little ones afar off as they walked in a distant alley with Trinette, their bonne nurse. In her mien spoke care and prudence. I knew she often pondered anxiously what she called leur avenir, their future. But if the youngest, a puny and delicate but engaging child, chancing to spy her, broke from its nurse and toddling down the walk, came all eager and laughing and panting to clasp her knee, Madame would just calmly put out one hand so as to prevent inconvenient concussion from the child's sudden onset. Prends garde, mon enfant, she would say, unmoved, patiently permit it to stand near her a few minutes, and then, without smile or kiss or endearing syllable, rise and lead it back to Trinette. She'd say, watch out, kiddo. She held its head. I like to imagine it comes running at her and she just holds its head off like a huge person fighting a tiny person in a comedy. That's what I like to think about. So I'm finding a place to sit and read where I won't be sniffling too much. Come on. Give me a fucking break in my life, said Lucy. Her demeanour to the eldest girl was equally characteristic in another way. This was a vicious child. Quelle peste que c'est Désirée! Quel poison que cet enfant-là! Were the expressions dedicated to her, alike in kitchen and in schoolroom. What a pest she is. What a plague is Desiree. What a poison is that child. We all have our least favourite. Amongst her other endowments, she boasted an exquisite skill in the art of provocation, sometimes driving her bonne and the servants almost wild. Hey, oh good, you guys are here. Basically, Lucy is talking about Madame Beck and how she feels nothing for her children, or seems not to. The oldest girl is called Desiree, and she is a poisonous child. And I'm sniffling, so I've done everything I can. I've had a Vicks Vapor Rub lozenge. Whatever. I tried. She boasted an exquisite skill in the art of provocation, sometimes driving her bonne and the servants almost wild. She would steal to their attics, open their drawers and boxes, wantonly tear their best caps and soil their best shawls. She would watch her opportunity to get at the buffet of the salle à manger, where she would smash articles of porcelain or glass. Eats his spoonful of Vicks Vapor Rub. The buffet meaning... It sounds like buffet, just like the sideboard, the place where you put your fancy china. or to the cupboard of the storeroom, where she would plunder the preserves, drink the sweet wine, break jars and bottles, and so contrive as to throw the onus of suspicion on the cook and the kitchen maid. All this, when Madame saw, and of which she received report, her sole observation, uttered with matchless serenity, was, Désirée a besoin d'une surveillance toute particulière. Desiree needs a particular kind of surveillance. Some kids are just like that. Who knows? Accordingly, she kept this promising olive branch a great deal at her side. Never once, I believe, did she tell her faithfully of her faults, explain the evil of such habits, and show the results which must thence ensue. Surveillance must work the whole cure. It failed, of course. Desiree was kept in some measure from the servants, but she teased and pillaged her mamma instead. Whatever belonging to Madame's work table or toilet she could lay her hands on, she stole and hid. Madame saw all this, but she still pretended not to see. She had not rectitude of soul to confront the child with her vices. When an article disappeared whose value rendered restitution necessary, she would profess to think that Desiree had taken it away in play, and beg her to restore it. Desiree was not to be so cheated. She had learned to bring falsehood to the aid of theft, and would deny having touched the brooch, ring, or scissors. Carrying on the hollow system, the mother would calmly assume an air of belief, and afterwards ceaselessly watch and dog the child till she tracked her to her hiding places, some hole in the garden wall, some chink or cranny in the garret or outhouse. This done, Madame would send Desiree out for a walk with her bonne, and profit by her absence to rob the robber. Desiree proved herself the true daughter of her astute parent, by never suffering either her countenance or manner to betray the least sign of mortification on discovering the loss. This is... sorry about the sniffling, but this is very funny. It's like, it's what you do with a cat that's been hiding shit. You just kind of follow it. See, oh yeah, it hides it in there. Well, next time the cat's out, I'll just go and grab it. Speaking of going and grabbing things. No, I thought I had a handkerchief over there, but I don't. Lucy does watch horrible children like other people watch reality TV. That's true. That's completely true. She's like, this kid sucks, and her mother is not stopping her from sucking. She's just like, well, sometimes you have a kid who sucks. You just gotta watch her, and when she steals shit, just try and find it. Get it back. And Desiree's like, damn, I thought I stole that shit. Well, not giving her the satisfaction. Hilarious. The second child, Fifine, was said to be like its dead father. Certainly, though the mother had given it her healthy frame, her blue eye and ruddy cheek, not from her was derived its moral being. This thing of calling children it's so weird. It was an honest, gleeful little soul. A passionate, warm-tempered, bustling creature it was too, and of the sort likely to blunder often into perils and difficulties. One day it bethought itself to fall from top to bottom of a steep flight of stone steps, and when Madame, hearing the noise, she always heard every noise, issued from the salle à manger and picked it up, she said quietly, Cet enfant a un os cassé. Oh, this kid's got a broken bone. Very normal. At first we hoped this was not the case. It was, however, but too true. One little plump arm hung powerless. Let Miss, meaning me, take her, said Madame, et qu'on aille tout de suite chercher un fiacre. Well, now we've got to go find a taxi, basically. Quickly. She did say quickly. In a fiacre, she promptly, but with the admirable coolness and self-possession, departed to fetch a surgeon. It appeared she did not find the family surgeon at home, but that mattered not. She sought until she laid her hand on a substitute to her mind and brought him back with her. Meanwhile, I had cut the child's sleeve from its arm, undressed, and put it to bed. Pretty sure Fifine is a girl, but it's a child. It's an it. We none of us, I suppose. By we, I mean the bonne, the cook, the portress, and myself, all which personages were now gathered in the small and heated chamber, looked very scrutinizingly at the new doctor when he came into the room. I, at least, was taken up with endeavouring to soothe Fifine, whose cries, for she had good lungs, were appalling to hear. These cries redoubled in intensity as the stranger approached her bed. When he took her up, "Let alone," she cried passionately in her broken English, for she spoke English, as did the other children. "I will not you. I will Dr. Pilule," which I think is basically Dr. Pills. Funny name. You want to go out, Dylan? There we go. One in, one out. Hello, Fitzabel. How you doing? Just a door opening function. "And Dr. Pilule is my very good friend," was the answer, in perfect English. "But he is busy at a place 3 leagues off, and I am come in his stead. So now, when we get a little calmer, we must commence business, and we will soon have that unlucky little arm bandaged and in right order." No, I'm not going to cough. I thought I was going to cough. Oh, this book is a roller coaster. I nearly coughed. Hereupon he called for a glass of eau sucrée, fed her with some teaspoons full of the sweet liquid. Fifine was a frank gourmand. Anybody could win her heart through her palate. Promised her more when the operation should be over, and promptly went to work. So eau sucrée just means sugared water. I'm guessing it's a kind of Ribena-like syrup. Some assistance being needed, he demanded it of the cook, a robust, strong-armed woman, but she, the portress, and the nurse instantly fled. I did not like to touch that small tortured limb, but thinking there was no alternative, my hand was already extended to do what was requisite. I was anticipated. Madame Beck had put out her own hand. Hers was steady, while mine trembled. "Ça vaudra mieux," said the doctor, turning from me to her. "That will be better." He showed wisdom in his choice. Mine would have been feigned stoicism, forced fortitude. Hers was neither forced nor feigned. "Merci, madame. Très bien, fort bien," said the operator when he had finished. "Voilà un sang-froid bien petit, et qui vaut 1000 élans de sensibilité déplacée." It's hard to translate off the top of my head. But thank you, ma'am. Very good, very good. You got a really good sang-froid going on there. Damn, girl. And that is worth a lot of units of compassion. That's worth the lack of units of compassion. It's hard for me to get the words straight in English. But anyway, basically, it rules that you are so cold a mother that you can do this without flinching. And she's like, "Oh, thank you." He was pleased with her firmness, she with his compliment. It is likely, too, that his whole general appearance, his voice, mien, and manner wrought impressions in his favour. Indeed, when you looked well at him, and when a lamp was brought in, for it was evening and now waxing dusk, you saw that, unless Madame Beck had been less than woman, it could not well be otherwise. "Lucy! You know that it does not make you less of a woman to not be attracted by men." Well, you should know by now. This young doctor, he was young, had no common aspect. His stature looked imposingly tall in that little chamber, and amidst that group of Dutch-made women. His profile was clear, fine, and expressive. Perhaps his eye glanced from face to face rather too vividly, too quickly, and too often. but it had a most pleasant character, and so had his mouth. His chin was full, cleft, Grecian, and perfect. As to his smile, one could not in a hurry make up one's mind as to the descriptive epithet it merited. There was something in it that pleased, but something too that brought surging up into the mind all one's foibles and weak points, all that could lay one open to a laugh. Yet Fifine liked this doubtful smile, and thought the owner genial. Much as he had hurt her, she held out her hand to bid him a friendly good night. He patted the little hand kindly, and then he and Madame went downstairs together, she talking in her highest tide of spirits and volubility, he listening with an air of good-natured amenity, dashed with that unconscious roguish archness I find it difficult to describe. Yep. Very normal way to describe some guy. I noticed that though he spoke French well, he spoke English better. He had, too, an English complexion, eyes, and form. I noticed more. As he passed me in leaving the room, turning his face in my direction one moment, not to address me, but to speak to Madame, yet so standing that I almost necessarily looked up at him, a recollection which had been struggling to form in my memory since the first moment I heard his voice started up, perfected. This was the very gentleman to whom I had spoken at the bureau, who had helped me in the matter of the trunk, who had been my guide through the dark, wet park. Listening as he passed down the long vestibule out into the street, I recognized his very tread. It was the same firm and equal stride I had followed under the dripping trees. Now this is going to take a little flashback. So when Lucy first gets off the boat from England to France, she finds that her luggage has gone missing, and this kindly English doctor helps her out, kind of organizes her bags and stuff, and walks her to a place where she can get to a cheap boarding house pretty easily. Except she got lost and found Madame Beck's school instead. It was meant to be. Sorry about all the sniffling. It was to be concluded that this young surgeon-physician's first visit to the Rue Fossette would be his last. The respectable Dr. Pilule being expected home the next day, there appeared no reason why his temporary substitute should again represent him, but the fates had written their decree to the contrary. Dr. Pilule had been summoned to see a rich old hypochondriac at the antique university town of Boucam-Moisy, and upon his prescribing change of air and travel as remedies, he was retained to accompany the timid patient on a tour of some weeks. It but remained, therefore, for the new doctor to continue his attendance at the Rue Fossette. That's the street that they're living on. Fossette. What does Fossette mean? It means grave, doesn't it? Surely not. I often saw him when he came, for Madame would not trust the little invalid to Trinette, but required me to spend much of my time in the nursery. I think he was skilful. Fifine recovered rapidly under his care, yet even her convalescence did not hasten his dismissal. Destiny and Madame Beck seemed in league, and both had ruled that he should make deliberate acquaintance with the vestibule, the private staircase, and upper chambers of the Rue Fossette. No sooner did Fifine emerge from his hands than Desiree declared herself ill. That possessed child had a genius for simulation, and captivated by the attentions and indulgences of a sick room, she came to the conclusion that an illness would perfectly accommodate her tastes, and took to her bed accordingly. She acted well, and her mother still better, for while the whole case was transparent to Madame Beck as the day, she treated it with an astonishingly well-assured air of gravity and good faith. Yes, daughter, good. Develop that Munchausen shit to keep this handsome dude around. Madame Beck. What surprised me was that Dr. John, so the young Englishman had taught Fifine to call him, and we all took from her the habit of addressing him by this name, till it became an established custom and he was known by no other in the Rue Fossette. That Dr. John consented tacitly to adopt Madame's tactics and to fall in with her manoeuvres. He betrayed indeed a period of comic doubt, cast one or two rapid glances from the child to the mother, indulged in an interval of self-consultation, but finally resigned himself with a good grace to play his part in the farce. Desiree ate like a raven, gamboled day and night in her bed, pitched tents with the sheets and blankets, lounged like a Turk amidst pillows and bolsters, diverted herself with throwing her shoes at her bonne and grimacing at her sisters, overflowed, in short, with unmerited health and evil spirits, only languishing when her mamma and the physician paid their diurnal visit. Madame Beck, I knew, was glad at any price to have her daughter in bed away, out of the way of mischief, but I wondered that Dr. John did not tire of the business. Oh, my kid just throws her shoes at her nursemaid, it's fine. Every day, on this mere pretext of a motive, he gave punctual attendance. Madame always received him with the same empressement, the same sunshine for himself, the same admirably counterfeited air of concern for her child. Dr. John wrote harmless prescriptions for the patient and viewed her mother with a shrewdly sparkling eye. Madame caught his rallying looks without resenting them. She had too much good sense for that. Supple as the young doctor seemed, can't really use that word to describe people anymore. It's just creepy. Supple as the young doctor seemed, one could not despise him. This pliant part was evidently not adopted in the design to curry favour with his employer. While he liked his office at the pensionnat and lingered strangely about the Rue Fossette, he was independent, almost careless in his carriage there, and yet, too, he was often thoughtful and preoccupied. Still sorry about the sniffling. Basically just water, isn't it, Fitzy? It was not perhaps my business to observe the mystery of his bearing, or search out his origin or its origin or aim. But placed as I was, I could hardly help it. Just can't help spying on men sometimes. It happens. He laid himself open to my observation, according to my presence in the room, just that degree of notice and consequence a person of my exterior habitually expects. That is to say, about what is given to unobtrusive articles of furniture, chairs of ordinary joiner's work, and carpets of no striking pattern. Often, while waiting for Madame, he would muse, smile, watch, or listen like a man who thinks himself alone. I, meantime, was free to puzzle over his countenance and movements, and wonder what could be the meaning of that peculiar interest and attachment, all mixed up with doubt and strangeness, and inexplicably ruled by some presiding spell, which wedded him to this demi-convent, secluded in the built-up core of a capital. He, I believe, never remembered that I had eyes in my head, much less a brain behind them. Lucy gets it. Oh, yeah. That's where she is right now. She's a ghost. A shade throwing shade. Exactly. He never remembered that I had eyes in my head, much less a brain behind them. God, that's such a good sentence. Nor would he ever have found this out, but that one day, when he sat in the sunshine, and I was observing the colouring of his hair, whiskers, and complexion, the whole being of such a tone as a strong light brings out with somewhat perilous force. Indeed, I recollect I was driven to compare his beamy head in my thoughts to that of the golden image which Nebuchadnezzar the king had set up. A new idea, sudden and startling, riveted my attention with the overmastering strength and power of attraction. I know not to this day how I looked at him. The force of surprise and also of conviction made me forget myself. And I only recovered wanted consciousness when I saw that his notice was arrested, and that it had caught my movement in a clear little oval mirror fixed in the side of the window recess, by the aid of which reflector Madame often secretly spied persons walking in the garden below. Madame is crazy. Although of so gay and sanguine a temperament, he was not without a certain nervous sensitiveness which made him ill at ease under a direct, inquiring gaze. On surprising me thus, he turned and said in a tone which, though courteous, had just so much dryness in it as to mark a shade of annoyance, as well as give to what was said the character of rebuke. Mademoiselle does not spare me. I am not vain enough to fancy that it is my merits which attract her attention. It must then be some defect. Dare I ask what? I replied, I was thinking the other day about how some fake lashes, they tell you to cut the little excess off, and I remember being surprised by that. Even though human beings are shaped in completely different ways, I realized there was a part of me that thought that we all had the same length of eyelid. And wouldn't it be weird if that were the truth? If we really did all have exactly the same length eyelids? No, that was what I was thinking about, but wouldn't it be weird? Westworld. I was confounded, as the reader may suppose, yet not with an irrecoverable confusion, being conscious that it was from no emotion of incautious admiration, nor yet in a spirit of unjustifiable inquisitiveness, that I had incurred this reproof. I might have cleared myself on the spot, but would not. I did not speak. I was not in the habit of speaking to him. Suffering him then to think what he chose, and accuse me of what he would, I resumed some work I had dropped, and kept my head bent over it during the remainder of his stay. There is a perverse mood of the mind which is rather soothed and irritated by misconstruction, and in quarters where we can never be rightly known, we take pleasure, I think, in being consummately ignored. What honest man, on being casually taken for a housebreaker, does not feel rather tickled than vexed at the mistake? The end of the chapter. Oh, I'm going to have to stop there, but we got up to nearly 40 minutes, so that was pretty good. I think Lucy Snow would have been an incredible poster. I think she would have been great on the internet. Just like, you know what? It's funny to make people think the wrong thing. Also, definitely, I was just looking at him because I had met him before, not because he was like handsome like a golden statue built by Nebuchadnezzar the king. It was other reasons. Yeah, the eyelids part, I mean, some wonder if that is actually Charlotte writing or if it's their brother Branwell. There is a theory among Bronte scholars, but I don't want to get into that drama right now. It would be very, very interesting. Shoot. Drop my freaking water bottle. So thank you all for being with me today. I'm a little bit breathless and very sniffly because I've been wearing a jumper that's full of dust for a few hours. Like a genius. It's happened before as well. Oh, it's not fandom. It's not fandom, Josh. If the book is over 100 years old, it's scholarship. That's a fact. Thank you, Danny, for being here. I will resume Villette tomorrow at some point. Yeah, you too. Yeah, everybody stay warm. Stay warm, be kind to each other, wash your hands. I'm a doctor. Do not vex me. I must not be vexed. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.